Hi, welcome to the Overflow. We are all here together.
So fun. First time for our podcast to be together.
Yeah, first time since we launched our podcast that we're actually all in the same room. So this is super fun.
It is.
We're here for not really a retreat, but more like a strategy business session. And so we said, well, if we're gonna be together, we have to get together and record an episode.
Yeah. So we thought since we're all here for a business strategy session, maybe we'd talk a little bit about just how we got into business. We've all worked from home for how many years?
Over a decade each.
Yeah.
13 for me, yeah.
Yeah, over a decade, 13 years, we've all worked from home. And so, who wants to start? How did you get into working from home? How about that?
Okay, great. So I was a school teacher. I was teaching high school at the time, and my kiddos were very young. I had a 3-year-old and 6-month-old, and I was really just wanting to be home with them. I was at the 10-year mark in my teaching career, and I loved it. I loved the kids. I loved teaching, but I really, the drive to be home was pretty strong. And we'd already fallen in love with Young Living products. I've been using them in our home for, 4 to 5 years at that point. And about 5 years, and had kind of dabbled in the business, like had shared the products with family and friends, just kind of randomly, but didn't really understand the business side of it. Didn't see like the big picture that it could actually, really make side income and then replace an income. And so actually went to the Young Living convention that year. It was in 2013, and heard one of the brand partners just speak about what she was doing, how she was building. And I came out of that session and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it, like really go for it. And so the school year was just starting, and my husband, who's very like, I would say risk averse and, likes things nice and neat and safe and whatever, he was totally supportive, like, go for it. Yes. If you match your take home income, then you can come home from teaching. I'm supportive of that. And I was like, okay, here we go. And so just kind of started building in the crevices of my days and weeks. I had a nursing baby and a toddler, and I was only teaching 2/3 time at the time, though, because my husband and I kind of did this. We were both teaching at the time. So he was working mornings, I was working afternoons. We would trade the kids in the middle. And so that worked out nicely, but it really was just maybe an hour a day. And then on weekends, doing what I could. But actually it was like March of that year that I got a check that matched my teaching income, like my take home teaching income. And I was like, okay, this is crazy, because I went to school for 4 years plus a master's degree. So really 6 years.
You have a master's too.
I have a master's. So 6 years of school, pay tens of thousands of dollars to go to school, to then go work for, even doing part-time teaching. I was working 40 hours a week. So I was an English teacher. So it was, essays, on the weekend. And anyway, so it was still a 40-hour-a-week job. And to be able to focus intentionally on building this side business and to match my take home within like 8 or 9 months of that, I was like, this is ridiculous. And so I went to administration in March and was like, I'm retiring early and left. And then I had like a pit in my stomach the last 2 months of school. Like, what did I just do? The doubt started to settle in real hard. And actually my checks kind of flatlined and went down a little bit in April and May of that year as I was getting ready to leave. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I just did.
Yeah.
But then things started to turn around again. And I haven't looked back. Like, it's been 13 years of building this from home. And I think what I love about it is just really the freedom that it gives, that I get to design my days schedule around family and what we have going on. And it still really taps into that teacher part of me. I love to teach and encourage and support people. And I still get to do that in this business. And I love the products, and I feel really good about recommending them to other people. So
yeah, that's awesome. So I don't know. I kind of consider myself in some ways maybe serial entrepreneurship, because I have been literally work from home. Well, right out of college, we went and worked for a nonprofit. So we did nonprofit ministry with college students. After we had my son, shortly after that, we had left nonprofit ministry, and my husband was like looking for a job, trying to find odd jobs. And I think because my mom was a stay-at-home mom, I always thought, well, I just want to stay home. Like I should just stay home with my kids, or I want to stay home with my kids. And so I was always kind of like looking for side income, because I mean, in nonprofit, we were very paycheck to paycheck. And that's hard. It's just really hard being paycheck to paycheck. So I think after we left, I found a job online with like a sales job with a cloth diaper company. So I was working for them and I was making some side income that way. And I got kind of decent income for a while. It was like cloth diaper soap or something like that. And then after that, I did go get a certification as a doula. So I did childbirth doula for a while. And then I also went to get my nutritional therapy practitioner. And so at that same time, I was actually at one of my conferences with NTA. Did you guys go to?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I was at one of my conferences doing our functional training with NTA. And that's when I kept seeing all this stuff on essential oils. And of course, being like more natural minded, my dad was a chiropractor. And I thought, oh, this sounds like a really great product. I was hearing so many success stories. I was like, sounds really cool. I'd love to try the product. I didn't get started with the oils ever to start a business. I wanted to be a nutritional therapy practitioner, which I also do now. But that's what, I was like, this looks cool. So I remember being at one of those conferences and buying my kit there. So I bought my kit. And I had, when you talk about network marketing, I had been kind of part of network marketing companies before, didn't really see any income come in. And I was like, I'm going to not do the business side. I want to use the products. Maybe I'll use the products with my clients. Like that was kind of even the thought behind that. And as I started using the products, of course, we started having our own testimonials that were really cool. I could tell that the quality was there. And so I just kind of organically started sharing, and kind of like you did, I got a paycheck and I was like, wow, I was like shocked, because I wasn't really trying to make a paycheck. I was literally just like trying to share the cool products and trying to help other moms who were having some of the same problems I was, and could use the products too. And so that was kind of how it started. And we were living so paycheck to paycheck at the time. I was like, oh, like I can really help our family with this. And so that's how I got into that, alongside all my nutritional therapy training. So it's been kind of cool, just because I got my, kind of started those two things at the same time. And it was back, like 13 years ago, which is very crazy. Cool.
Yeah, both of your stories have some overlaps with my experience too, and then some different things too. I think I am a serial entrepreneur also, because I'm just a big idea person. So I'm always coming up with ideas, and really an entrepreneur is just someone who sees needs and like ways to meet them, and like basically just sees markets. And so I think as a kid, I was making little crafts. And even as a teenager, I made these flower brooches, which were, I think, stylish in that, like in the 90s, look back now.
Yeah.
But over a couple of years, I crafted all these and sold them at different fairs and places and made like $1,000. Like it wasn't much, but like I had that bug, like to make to sell. I made bread for a while and sold it to our friends. Like I was always just doing entrepreneurial things. And I think my parents always just encouraged that. I think that's like, I think there's something kind of intrinsic to someone, that has that kind of drive. And so then as a young adult, I had different jobs, but I always had like these little side gigs. Like I was like tutoring on the side, or I developed a course and then sold that. This is long before the internet.
As a kid?
as a
Like a
20-year-old.
Oh, that's awesome.
You made a course and sold it before the internet?
Yes.
What was the course about?
It was on floral design.
What?
Yeah. So I would,
No way. That's awesome.
I did. Yeah. And then after I was married, when I got married, I moved to a place where I didn't know anybody. So then, I mean, entrepreneurship, a lot of it is around the markets you have and you're connected to.
Mm-hmm.
But as I got to know people, I did flowers for weddings quite a bit in our early marriage. Again, like you, my mom had stayed home. And so I just saw that as like, I want to stay home with my babies. We got married. My husband was, he was 29 when we got married, 30 when we had our first baby. And so we were just right on to like, let's just get into having a family. So when we first got married, I didn't even look for a job in the town that I moved to when we got married. I just was like, we're going to have, let's just get on. Yeah. Our daughter was born like 2 weeks before our first anniversary. So
did you say, let's get it on?
I didn't say that.
I'm pretty sure that's what you meant to say. Let's cool.
Get on with it. Let's get on with it. Like, let's go ahead and have.
I did that too, but I thought,
let's get it on. That too. I'm sure as newlyweds, you're definitely in that mode. Still are. But yeah. So I was just like focused on like, hey, we can make this work, to have the one income, right, and for me to stay home. But families are expensive. Like kids are expensive.
Life is
expensive, but
especially if you want to travel or something and see other places.
Yeah. But too, we just, you just have so many dreams for your kids, right? You want to take your kids to travel. You want to have them have the best educations. Anyway, we realized that like with the one income we were doing fine. Like all of our needs are met, but like we weren't stashing away money for retirement. We weren't necessarily like able to fund traveling the world with our kids. And so I kept thinking like, we have these bigger dreams. And I kept seeing like, hey, if we could just start a business. So many times my husband and I talked about like, if we could start a business. My husband's like yours, risk averse. So he was not ever ready to like quit his job and go jump into some brand new thing. It was like, if we could start something alongside, but it just always felt like, how do we start that thing alongside when like we're busy as, parents of little kids, and when do you start that thing? And so in that sense, I wouldn't say that I'm like, there are entrepreneurs out there that just
do that.
They do that. Like they're
good at it.
They take big risks and they go like they work 20 hours a day, and like I'm not that
level of entrepreneur.
No, I just had that kind of like I just had like the little entrepreneur bug.
Same. Well, when we started too, I was like trying to figure out like, okay, I can spend this much, I can enroll this many people, and I can pay for my product, right? It was like
very little. Overall. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like what you could see.
It wasn't like, let me invest thousands of dollars.
Exactly.
I didn't really have that. I didn't have thousands of dollars.
It was a sacrifice to invest in my training, my nutritional training. I was like, that was a big deal for us. So
and I didn't do that in nutritional training. I had several friends who were doing it and I couldn't afford it. So I actually went and I got the list of all the books and the curriculum they were using, and I just started reading through it. Like I just decided to kind of do it on my own. Years later, after I had a Young Living income and I could actually enroll, I enrolled and I had already read most of the books. So this is like my do-it-yourself.
Made it easy for you.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So when I was introduced to Young Living, I did not think of it as a business opportunity because I was pretty much anti-MLM. I didn't have experience personally with it. You had been involved and seen like it doesn't make a lot of money. I think there's a lot of people who get involved in MLMs and are told that actually something false, like, oh, you could just do it a few hours here and there and it'll become an income. Well, anything you do like that doesn't become an income.
The hype.
There's hype. And so I felt like it was maybe a dishonest.
I feel like even more so now because there's people on the internet trying to like gather people.
Yeah.
That I feel like it's even maybe worse now than it used to be. I don't know.
My experience was just that we had Heiko and I both, my husband and I both had people come to us and like try to prospect us.
Yeah.
And they kind of came like out of the blue, like, hey, haven't talked to you in 3 years, and you feel like you're catching up with someone that's genuine. And then you find out that they're just trying to prospect you. Instead of it would have been better if they'd said, hey, we haven't spoken in 3 years, but I have a business opportunity. Do you want to hear about it? that would have felt, and so
Totally better.
I think about that now.
Yeah,
like,
that's
because
interesting.
sometimes I think, wow, I could offer this person who seems to have a need and this could fit. But I never want to pretend like this is just a friendly call.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't even do calls like that. Like,
Well,
I don't even need
I
to,
think
but
authenticity is huge for
Yeah.
all of us, right? And
Yeah.
so I had a similar experience to that before Young Living, where a friend from high school reached out, like called me. We talked for like 20 minutes, catching up, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, that's so nice. Like, just out of the
Mhm.
blue, they called
Right.
me.
Yeah.
And then a week later, they called me to pitch me their business. I was like, oh, you were just like warming me up. Like,
Yeah.
it would have been so much better if you would just called me and been like, hey, I know we haven't talked in a long time, but I thought of you because of, whatever
yeah.
reason.
Yeah.
And here's this, business opportunity. So it kind of turned me off
Yeah.
too, which I think is why I didn't look at it earlier
Initially, yeah.
on, because I think I've always been a little bit entrepreneurial as well, except for the fact that I think I had a lot of fear around going into business because I
Mhm.
watched my dad, who was like a super successful pool and spa store owner, and he built pools and whatever. But it was 7 days a week.
Yeah.
7
Oh,
days
yeah,
a week
working
and
all the time.
hours and hours.
Small
And
business
just-
ownership.
And
right?
the brick and mortar thing with all of the expenses, we'd go out to dinner afterwards, and conversation would be fully about what happened at the pool
Mhm.
store and what things I need to do. And it was just like all consuming. And I was like, if
Mhm.
that's what business is, I
Mhm.
don't want to be a part of it,
Yeah.
even though I did have that
Mhm.
kind of heart for entrepreneurship. So
Mhm.
I think this opportunity, what it did was show me that there is another way. Like, you don't have to be tied to it. You do have to put in the work.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you do have to, push past fears, and
Yeah.
you have to talk to people, and you have
Yeah.
to invite people into both, looking at the product set, but also to looking at the opportunity. And that's scary for some people because we don't like rejection.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Well, it's the only way to, like, you talked about how you had a lot of focus and a lot of motivation in that first year, right?
Mhm.
Because you were trying to replace that income.
Sure.
But that's kind of like the airplane analogy where, like, if you're going to get off the ground,
Yes.
you have to go fast enough to get off the ground. You can't
Yes.
just like wheel the end of the runway and then expect you're going to lift, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
you
I
have to
think
put in that effort.
some of that is the difference too between being authentic
Mm-hmm.
and kind of
And
beating around
owning
the
it.
bush, or just moving in on people to try to get prospect them.
Yeah.
And I think that, even the same thing with, coaching people. It's like you have a element of authenticity that you have to bring to the table to say, I can help you with this.
Yeah.
Or, I think that's just such a big
And
part of it.
belief that you have an
And
answer.
Belief
Yeah.
that you have an answer. Yeah, that's
Well, the
huge.
belief is what really launched my Young Living business, because, as I said, I wasn't looking at it as an opportunity. I bought these oils because I was curious, and they've been highly recommended by a friend. So I got them, I dabbled around, but when I really used them in a way that was like, oh my goodness, they just like completely like blew my mind. And then I got a book that explained more about what they did. And then I could see how I could name 10 friends, who needed these oils. And so that's when I asked my friend Sandy, who had told me about the oils, like, can you come to my house? She didn't live in my city. Can you come visit? Come for a visit and like tell my friends about these. And she was shocked because I had pretty clearly told her from the beginning, like, I won't do this business. We don't do that kind of a business.
We are not those kind of people.
Yes, that's what I
No,
not quite with so much attitude in it, but I did say that. I did not do ambulance. So she was really surprised, but it was the belief in how these products were really life-changing, and they could be. I had so much hope for these friends who needed this, right?
Mhm.
I didn't know that I had like even the way to explain it to them yet. I wanted to watch somebody come like teach a class in my living room. And so I did that again, not with the idea that I was going to build a business, just like I need to tell these people. And also I was like 7 months pregnant with our 6th baby. So I wasn't thinking like, oh, I have lots of extra time. I was just like, I'm going to have a baby, but I have so many people that I need to tell about this product. Mm-hmm. So she came, she told these friends, we all like kind of got into a little Facebook group together and started like using them together. They began using them and seeing results right away, just like I had. They began telling their friends, and then they turned around and were like, can you come teach the class? I was like, sure. Like I can teach it all the way up until I have to deliver my baby, but then I'm out, So it was just truly about like helping people get these products.
Mhm.
And then right after I had my baby, I got my check and I was like, oh, wow, this is a significant amount. My first thought was, well, what can I do to help these people more? So I bought every one of them a book and gave them books because the
Yeah.
book on essential oils had really helped me see what they all could do.
Sure.
So I invested.
Was this like one of the reference books?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, yeah, we
I
used to do
invested
that.
back
Yeah.
in my people. Again, not even knowing like I was actually doing all the right things to launch a business.
Mhm.
And I was doing it with the focus and the intensity to launch a business.
Yeah.
I actually am just really grateful to God for like how that all happened, because for years we had prayed for a business, but I would have
Yeah.
never chosen this one,
Right.
right? And then because of like the intensity of having my baby, got to do these classes, blah, 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 invest back in the people, do it all again. And then I sat there holding my new baby and I kept getting messages on my phone. Like, you know, here I am in my postpartum holding my baby. The messages are coming in about this oil is working. My child
So
has
cool.
focus. My child is sleeping. My husband has energy again, like all these things. And I was like, I think this is what I prayed for. I just didn't know it would look like this.
Well, and I think that's the cool thing about it is because I feel like, you know, going and getting my nutritional therapy practitioner, all that, I always had this desire too to have these like only like use these high quality products and
Only
you know,
the best.
only the best, farm to
Vet,
table,
yes.
help small communities, which
Small family business.
which Young Living is great at helping small
good.
communities
Yes.
too. And I'm like, it's just amazing too. I feel like because I could have gotten into somewhere else and looked back and thought, oh, that wasn't really what I thought it was, you know, and being 13 years down the road and being like, oh my gosh, like the best products, like helping support people. It's like they don't go into communities either and like strip them dry like some
they go
companies
into build
do.
schools and fund hospitals and fund
And bring money to the community and employ people and like there's so much more
just
to
got
it.
dropped into our laps and it just happened to be that good of a company in terms of like heart and integrity and
all of that.
It's like
because some of that's hard to sort through too.
Absolutely, it's hard,
especially when you don't know it first. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I feel still after 13 years so aligned with all those all that mission and knowing that I can still get people the best essential oils on the earth and some of the best supplements on the earth and you know all these things. And I'm like, it's so good.
Even down to it being privately owned, like family owned is huge. I'm listening to Simon Sinek's book on, we talked about this on another podcast and I still can't think the name of it. Well, it's going to come to me at some point.
Too, and I should have just said it.
What
I don't remember now.
It's about the long game. It's about not winning, like not short term.
Okay.
Yeah, look it up for me while I'm talking about it. But in the book, he talks about companies, you know, that like are not privately owned, that are publicly traded, and just like the pressures, right? To
bottom line.
Yeah, the bottom line and pleasing the stakeholders and all of that kind of stuff, where I feel like we just haven't had to deal with that, right? It's always about the customer and what's best for, you know, because of it being family owned, which of course we didn't know that when we started using the oils.
Which book is it?
Okay. None of those.
I don't think it's those.
Infinitive Game.
It's that one.
Infinite Game.
Infinite Game.
Infinite Game.
Infinite Game. Okay. Simon Sinek.
Wait, so what's that book about?
It's about like vision and seeing that there's no like real stopping point. It's not like a start and stop game, like where, it's going to be over in the next year. Like it's just that continued vision of like, I think about Young Living with their vision of oils in every home. We know that that's not honestly a realistic goal to have Young Living oils in every home, right? I mean, there's going to be people who aren't going to choose
not
that.
This year. Let's say that.
But to
not
have, but that's his idea that you, that I was like, I'm so proud of Young Living because they really did a good job envisioning, because it has to be something that you keep moving towards, but it's not something that like happens. Like it's not, in 5 years, that's they're going to be in every single home in the entire world. Right.
And I think that's what's important when someone's either looking for a job, even if they're not entrepreneurial, not looking at working from home, or if you are entrepreneurial and you want to work from home, is to think through like, what is my mission? Like, what are my, non-arguables.
Non-negotiable.
Thank you. What are my non-negotiables? What is my mission? Like, what am I not going to divert from? And then find something along that path. Like, I feel like that's the best way to go when you're looking. I mean, even my husband right now is teaching, and he has those hard days, and he's like, it's so hard sometimes. You're working so many hours, but he's a great teacher. And so I asked him that question. I was like, well, what's your mission there? Like, you're literally changing those kids' lives. Like, they are. I went to a birthday party. I was dropping my daughter off at a birthday party, and he teaches 8th grade. So he has my daughter for a student. So I walk in, and one of the girls comes up to me and she goes, "Oh, are you Mrs. Webb? Are you Mr. Webb's wife?" And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "He's so funny. I love Mr. Webb." And like gushed over him. And I'm like, well, that's why you're there. Yes. And I think whenever we go back to whatever, business we're in or profession we're in or whatever, like that's like our calling at the end of the day is that mission, those non-negotiables, those things we're going to stick to. And I love that. Like for me, yeah. And for us, like that ended up with Young Living in a lot of ways. Like even as a practitioner, I'm like, I have no reservations over like recommending this company. And I love that I can do that.
I'm curious what your kind of aha, like, because none of us got into it to build a business, and yet here all we are. So on like the product side of things, what was like your first aha, like, wow, this is powerful. This really works compliantly. Can you share? I mean, what the first oil was that you used where you're like, oh, this is really awesome?
I don't know if it was the first, but I do remember one time my kids were very small and they were like losing their minds. We lived in a very small house. We were living paycheck to paycheck. I was like, small kids, small house. Everything was small. And I remember putting, peace and calming in the diffuser, and literally like it calmed the room. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that shit saved my life that day, when like everything's so chaotic and like I needed a breather, and it was like just that scent. And it's funny because on the way here, I was listening to a book on anxiety, and it's talking about your amygdala and how, our amygdala causes so much anxiety, whether it's from like these ruminating thoughts or like it just firing from trauma or all these things in our life. And it's so interesting, all the research you can read on just scents, like these smells, but not just any scents, like natural smells from our environment and how they calm the amygdala. And so it was like cool to watch like calming the amygdala in action just from diffusing like a scent.
It's almost like God meant us to live in the woods.
Absolutely.
I think God totally meant us to live in the woods.
I have a similar story to that with my niece. We were in church, and she was a toddler running around, rambunctious, and my sister-in-law was wanting to get her calmed down. We're like in the middle of church, so she got out the peace and calming and kind of put it on her, and I'm telling you, within minutes she was like asleep on her lap. Went from running around to asleep. How about you?
I mean, I have a similar story with my son. One of my sons, like, you ever had like a 10-year-old boy like fuming mad at you, and then you put Valor on him and he starts laughing. But these stories of like the emotions are easy for us to tell because we're not afraid of getting in trouble, for promising like it's medicine or something. But really my aha moment started when I was pregnant, and it was that first months of having those oils in my home, and then getting sick with the flu. It was the swine flu, which is really dangerous when you're pregnant. And I couldn't smell anything. So the use of the oils, I was unintentionally like trialing them, not because they were just smelling good and it's like this placebo effect because they smell good, but I put them on my feet, I put them on my spine, and my temperature dropped, my heart rate stabilized, I could breathe. I could feel my body go like, thank you. I needed that for my immune system. They're not medicine. They're just plants, but our body recognizes them like it recognizes chicken noodle soup, like
balancing.
That, like, oh, I needed balancing. That. It felt good. And so that was my aha, like, wow, these work on a day when Tylenol did not work.
Sure. Yeah.
And when Tylenol probably wasn't even safe for me being pregnant, but but those worked. And that's when I was like, what else can they do?
Yes.
And I got the book, and then I saw possibility and connected that to the people who needed them. Yeah, that was a huge aha. It seems like there's always these ahas that I keep having. Do you guys have that too? You're like, oh yeah, I know these work, but then suddenly you're like, oh, it worked.
I think,
12 years in.
I think what's interesting about that is I think that they feel so commonplace now, like just kind of part of,
because they're everywhere now, like kind of.
Well,
Not all the good ones.
I know, not the good ones, but like people hear about oils more now than they did.
You can get something at Walmart.
You can get something at the gas station.
Probably nasty at the Walmart, but
So I don't mean that. I just mean for me, because I've used them for almost 20 years now. And so they're like second nature.
They're probably under the beds in my kids' room, in every room. Like they're like just
I find them everywhere. Like they're all over the place. And so I'm so used to them that sometimes I don't have that like awe with them anymore. Like I remember just being like, oh my goodness, these are the coolest things ever when I first started using them, because it was like, story after story of how they were like supporting us. But now we just, we go to an oil and just use it for that thing now. So yeah, I've noted that sometimes I have to put myself back in that place of like how cool they are as I'm like introducing somebody to them, because I know that they're going to have that same kind of, whoa, that worked. Yeah. How did that work?
It's a challenge as an entrepreneur to like help a new customer have that experience, right? And to enjoy and like the discovery and the wonder of it, and just enjoyment. I love that it's a product that like I've never enjoyed a Tylenol. I mean, I've enjoyed sometimes the effect of it. Never enjoyed it. But the things that God makes are just so amazing, because
infinitely
there's
better.
Like a joy and an enjoyment with it, as well as a usefulness for it.
Right.
So it hits all the parts of us, helps our emotions, helps our body, helps our digestion, helps.
Well, I think that's also a little bit of the challenge sometimes, is that sometimes people feel like they've experienced real oils when they've used some oils from somewhere before, but maybe haven't really experienced the real thing, because so many of them are adulterated.
Well, what's interesting about that is the founder of our company, Gary Young, when the woman, I don't remember who it was, but was wanting to really introduce him to the oils, he was like, oh no, I've experienced that. Right. Do you remember that story? Like he kind of like wrote her off like, no.
Yeah.
But he himself
had like lavender and tea tree, just like a few.
Yes.
But she was like, no, these come quality, from Europe.
Yeah.
They were from Europe, and they were like, were true quality. They truly represented the plant instead of being some extract that wasn't quality.
Yeah. So that's why I feel like sometimes now it's just a little more challenge to find people that are ready for the awe. Because they maybe think they've tried them before.
They've experienced them.
Yeah. So it's different. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed hearing our stories. And seeing us all together.
Gosh,
thanks for joining us.
I know. It's more fun in person.
It is more fun in person. Thanks for joining us.